Hola, ¿cómo está? Muy bien,
Oh,
gracias. Así, así.
you know what, Hugh? It's funny that you would say that because just when you thought they were gone, it's time to dust them off.
Look at
And let's talk about the look, the legacy, and the impact of the WWE Raw Tag Team and SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Favorite topic. Let's see if we can figure out who wore them better. Let's get to it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to season three of the Wrestling Raw Presents Championship Culture. I'm Brandon the Guy, and he is H to the A to the S to the T to the
hmm
H to the E to the 3 to the R to the D as the third, the super producer himself. And we are here to let you know everybody has a story. Now, Hugh,
Yes, sir.
we had some excitement over the weekend, didn't we? On Friday, we crowned new WWE Tag Team Champions, and Motor City Machine Guns. Put your fists up. Put your fists in the air. You
Put your
know,
face. Oh my
Motor City.
gosh.
But then on Saturday, we got to see, I don't want to call it a legacy run, but we got to see the Hardy Boys
All right. That is
claim
true.
those TNA tag team belts for one more time.
And that
And
pretty
they did
red
it the
strap.
only way to, with that pretty, wait a minute, can you see it? That belt
That,
behind me?
that, that
You
pretty
see
red
that one?
strap.
Okay. Let me make sure you can see it either way. Hold on, let me. You see it? It's right there. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys did it. Matt and Jeff, you know, Jeff did a Darren Swanton bomb off the top, but guess
The,
what?
the usual.
Yeah, you knew what to expect from a Hardy Boys, but we got a lot to do today, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So in championship culture, we like to bring back these series every once in a while. I think we did Who Wore It Better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the strap matter?
Yep.
And what's the other? There's one more. Let's see if you remember.
The
We
size
do,
matter.
and we also do a lot of volumes. We do like volume one, volume two, volume three. Because
The
when the
NXT
topic is too
volumes.
large,
Mm-hmm.
we got to break it down. But today, we're going to try to tackle that topic of who wore it better. And when we say who wore better, you can't talk about one set of tag team belts without talking about the Raw and SmackDown belts because they are the predecessor we have now. The World Tag Team titles on Raw and then the WWE Tag Team titles on SmackDown. If you want
Right.
to see an in-depth conversation about that, check out season 2 of Championship Culture, where we went right into Tag Team Tuesday and we broke down those belts. And I think that the realness, one of his notes, I might appreciate that because I think he was on that show.
I believe
But
so.
Hugh, in order to do this justice, right?
Yes, sir.
We got to talk about the history. And the history of this belt, the one on the red strap, and even the godforsaken penny, I don't even want to show because I really do not like
Man,
that belt.
show the
But
penny, bro. Show the
you
penny.
know, look, I didn't even get
I,
the
I
penny
was
out.
I was looking at it earlier and I was like, I kind of take a liking to it a little bit.
You took a liking to the penny, the copper.
I think it's
No,
just the etching, the deep etching in it.
but you see it in the silver too.
But I'm cool. I'm
Yeah.
cool with the straps, bro. It's
Okay.
some. It's different. It's different. So that's why it's kind of taking a liking. I'm taking a liking to it. It's different.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're taking a like to it because it seemed like for a while. Because remember, at one point we had those tag belts that. Well, we started with the WWF Tag Team Championship,
Right.
and
Right.
then the WWF Tag Team Championship and the World Tag Team Championship were merged together to the Unified Tag Team titles. And around 2010, August 2010 is when they unified them, and that's where we got the godforsaken penny, right?
The penny.
Um, it was unified. They were carrying both sets of belts for a while. We got the penny. When it debuted, Bret Hart brought him out. You could tell they really didn't care about the belt because he just walked around with them, handed it to Tyson Kidd, and Cesaro said, "Oh, here you go, new belts, right?" So it has a little bit of history to it, right? And
hmm
when you think about that history, tell the people when you first saw this, what was your initial take on this belt?
Well, first of all, back in the day when I was watching this live, I wasn't a belt guy. So when I saw it, first thing I looked at, I was like, hold on, this is not the traditional look, the traditional feel that we usually get from championship belts. So, of course, me, just like Brother Dwayne, I don't adapt to change, too well. So I was just like, look, I don't really care about it. It's whatever. It's something that they're fighting for. I don't care for the logo, the design on it, whatever. It's just throw it away, throw the whole belt away. So like
Did you say throw the whole
initially,
belt away?
the whole belt. Initially, that was my response to it. Okay, all right. And then Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, I didn't like them at the time, so I was like, all right, whatever. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
It is. It is what it is. I don't care for them. But
And when you think about the belt, whether it was this one, the Raw, the SmackDown one, right? They
yeah.
went with a different design altogether. Gone were the globes, gone were the nameplates, gone were the things that were kind of like signature to those belts. The grapplers on the side, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're getting Trojans, but Trojans facing out. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I understand a lot of Roman history, or
Hey,
Greek history. I watched 300 and I watched Gladiator. That's the extent of my knowledge, and that's probably the wrong thing to say, but I
that's
don't know
crazy.
enough about it to be able to speak on that. But the
Facts.
belt boasted just WWE logo at the top and had the pattern of like Greek a Greek pattern around it in a circle. It had the two Trojans, of course, facing one way or the other. A lot of people when we see, I'm sorry, Spartans. Are they Spartans or Trojans? There's Trojans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just had tag team champions at the base, and then all of the patterns are Greek style patterns. Sunburst pattern on the side for the WWE, and then one Trojan looking in, the other one looking out. And it kind of stripped away a unique identity for the belts and took it away from being. Because whenever I see a tag team belt, one thing about me, I always want to feel like whether they're together or they're singles, it feel like that's a world champion.
Right.
Nothing
Right.
about this belt at the time said world champion.
Ever.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
where we have these conversations in championship culture where it's not always about the belt that matters, it's who's holding it makes the belt. Because there have been some questionable reigns with this. Um, and with this belt, we had a lot of Frankenstein tag teams, and we had a lot of reigns that really made you pay attention. Off the
Mm-hmm.
break, when you think about this belt, who's the first one to come to mind, and why is it Kane?
He didn't even give me a chance for it, man. Well, first of all, I want to correct myself. It wasn't Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. It was Tyson Kidd and Baby Bulldog.
Oh, you're right. It
Right.
was.
The Hart
Cesaro was later
Dynasty.
on.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
the
was
Hart
later on down
Dynasty.
the line. But
Got you.
to be honest, when I was doing research earlier, the first the first team that came to mind was the New Day. Of course, 483 days. That reign
Hmm.
was epic at the time. So that's the only team that I associate with that belt. Then I had to dive deeper, and I was like, hold on, Kane, my guy Kane, the guy who tags with everybody and wins championships with everybody. He was
Hmm.
part of a pivotal tag team at that time, and Team Hell No with Daniel Bryan. So of course I gotta go with them. And then you reminded me, of course, about the Shield, so we can't forget about them.
And I think that
So
this belt, a lot of wrestlers made you pay attention to the division, not
yeah,
necessarily the belt. And we got to say hi to Justin because he said, somebody say the line. You
hmm
know what time it is. It must be Tuesday.
it's
So,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. But I'm going to put this one away because when we talk about reigns of these belts, right? And
Hmm.
even when, well, let me point this out about the belt before we get into it.
Yeah.
The one unique thing about this belt that I think WWE did a really good job with, no matter it was the Raw or SmackDown, the strap, I believe Triple H had something to do with this because he, a wider strap,
I
and
was about to say
now
it's that wide strap. That's probably
strap,
why I didn't like it either.
right, and it was definitely different. So no matter your size, if you was a smaller guy or a bigger guy,
No
it would
tip.
fit you, no tip whatsoever. But it has a WWF logo stamped in it. The designs on the strap are actually really cool. And if you look at it, it's a braided tooling around it, but it's not actual braided. Kind of like
Yeah.
a callback to the NWA World Title, but now it's just stamped in like a braided symbol. Same thing, but then we just want them with silver. And the crazy part is, from 2010 to 2016, we were head to pity. 2016 is when we got the nickel and dime. That's what we're gonna
Hmm.
call them, right? Red and blue.
Right.
And
Right.
we started with the blue, where SmackDown had its own champions. They wanted to make sure, and then it started off with Frankenstein tag teams. But then we see tag teams start to establish themselves on SmackDown.
Hmm.
We got to see, you know, teams such as, of course, the Usos, the Bar, um, He had kids. Heath Slater and Rhino, inaugural tag team champions. You start to see Alpha Academy. It kind of became the focus on the tag team division of SmackDown versus on Raw. It was just put two stars together, let them have the belts because that's what it
Yeah,
seemed like it was doing on Raw.
for a
SmackDown
while.
was really those up and coming stars, the Revival, the Wyatts. But I'm sorry, it was the Wyatts with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, rest his soul. And then you start to see all these different types of tag teams that actually are tag team
Right.
fighting for this belt. But from either the red or blue, when we talk about reigns, which reign was the most memorable to you? Because that's what I'm curious to know. Which reign from the red or the blue strap was the most memorable?
Well, the most memorable to me is one of the most recent ones. We talking 2 years, baby. Two
What was
years
it?
of, you know what I mean? Throw them up real quick. Both of them.
Oh boy.
It was
Oh
a,
boy.
come on, man. Bloodline, day
Um,
one ish, baby. That's what I'm
okay.
talking about. That's the most memorable to me right now because it was the most. It was is. It just makes it made the most sense. It solidified them as possibly for one of the greatest or the greatest tag team of all time.
Okay. And you got to see if it wasn't for their work before the Bloodline story, we
Yeah,
probably wouldn't appreciate the Bloodline story as much. We
right,
got to see respectable things where Kofi Mania was happening and the Usos came down and said, "We're not going to fight you. We respect you." Because they had that Hell in a Cell match. They had those wars at WrestleMania. Them
right.
with Miz and Morrison. I keep saying the bar, Alpha Academy. Remember, the Usos took down the Alpha Academy when they came back. They
Yeah,
first came back with no words in their song, dressing in all black, talking about it's the Uso Penitentiary. I was like, what's
absolutely.
happening here? And then they got music to the song. I said, okay, I might be all right with this. And they came back with a little grit, got rid of the face paint. But then you also had the New Day, like, you're not going to discount us because overall, the New Day had 2 reigns with the pennies, 4 with the red strap, and 7 with the blue.
Right.
The bar had 4 with the red and 1 with the blue because at
Mm-hmm.
one point, then you had people like the Street Profits coming up. You had all these different types of tag teams that were established that were fighting for these belts.
Yeah.
What reign had the most impact either on Raw or SmackDown? First, let me ask you this: which show had the biggest impact when it comes to tag teams? Was it Raw or SmackDown?
To me, it seemed like it was SmackDown because, like you said,
Okay.
you alluded to earlier, Raw was just kind of like all over the place with makeshift tag teams, and it did. That's one thing that was like my pet peeve. Like when you have a tag team, have an actual tag team. Like it works sometimes. Like for instance, with the bar, the way they flipped the script. Oh yeah, these two guys were enemies, and then they had the best of 7 series, and now they became like the chemistry was on point. So the respect was there. So all right, let's tag team. Let's team up and take care of everybody. Get these titles and make things happen. That kind of makes sense. So for you to switch it up like that, it makes sense to me to do it. But I'm not a real big fan of just putting two guys together and be like, hey, all right, you don't have nothing to do right now. You don't have nothing to do. All right, let's go. Put you together and go win the titles. Like Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman. That didn't make sense to me, but okay, all right. I had no choice but to rock with it. I like the outcome. I like how they lost it. I'll tell you that.
Oh, speak of which, so so that brings us. Actually, it's crazy that you would say that because when we had these belts, and I know I've been showing the blue a lot. I
Yeah.
got to give the red some love, and I'm trying not to make as much noise. But let's give the red some love. Since you brought Seth freaking Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, the revolutionary, visionary,
And all
you
that
brought
other
him
stuff.
into the
Yeah.
play, all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brand influence kind of did impact these divisions, right?
Yes.
Do you think Raw elevated the stories, or did SmackDown elevate the stories with these belts?
That's a good question. Going off. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Because remember, SmackDown Live was hot at the time,
I was
and
about to
Raw
say,
seemed like
yeah.
it was catching up. But
SmackDown was.
sometimes them Raw stories was like around this belt. And you just said it. Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins were tag team champions, and they had a match later on that night for the Universal title.
I feel like if this makes sense, it probably doesn't. But as I'm thinking it through, on SmackDown, you had tag team storylines. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
With Raw, it seemed like it was centered around two individual superstars that just happened to be a tag team. So let me go
Like when
back
they
to
brought Dean Ambrose and Seth back together.
absolutely. And like I talked about Braun and Seth. that whole
I'm
deal
sorry, I'm gonna
was
just show the belt while you right there.
do what you got to do.
Mm.
That whole rivalry was over the undisputed title.
Yep. The
So
Universal. Universal, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the Universal, yes, the Universal title, and then they just happened to win the tag titles on the way. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
you know how they always do. Oh yeah, put you two guys together, and oh, you just happen to win it. So now y'all
Or when
stuck.
Braun won it with Nicholas. We seem to forget that.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. But like I said before, I love how they lost the title. You know, because they lost it to the Dirty Dogs. You know, Brother Ziggler and them. One time on a Raw, one time on a SmackDown. Let's get it. Y'all ain't think I was gonna go through the. You on mute? You don't think I was gonna go throughout the whole show without mentioning Dolph Ziggler? Come on now.
You didn't mention when he had the Scottish Psychopath, did they win the belts too?
He did. He did. SmackDown. Yep.
And I believe that this is the founder. Nothing was more random than Arcade, bro. I agree with you 100%. 100%. And I
Yeah.
think that when we think about these belts and when we try to answer the question, who wore it better, the
Yeah.
brand influence has such a big deal on it, right? Because we saw the bar trade between Raw and SmackDown. We saw the Street Profits trade between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
And that brand influence really told a story of which one is a little bit more important. Unlike today, when you look at the World Tag Team titles or the WWE titles, you can kind of tell like they're on equal footing. One doesn't feel more important than the other.
It
But
doesn't.
sometimes the brand that it's on, the Intercontinental title, felt like more of a big deal than the United States title just because who held it and what show they were on, right? Are there specific teams or moments that had a lasting influence with these belts? And you can't say the Usos or New Day. I'm going to make you dig deep.
Mm, mm. Just taking it back to the first moment that jumps into my head right now is when the Hardys returned at 33. That's the biggest one for me, to be honest.
Because the New
Besides,
Day introduced them and we thought it was going to be the New Day. And it was like,
yeah,
oh, they're back.
that music hit, and then they came back. They won the titles in the ladder match, of course. So I was just like, hey, man, like that was one of the few surprises that they was actually able to keep from the universe, and yeah, that's one of the biggest moments with either one of the titles, besides the New Day or the Usos, because literally, honestly, for me, everything was centered around those two teams. So yeah.
And it's crazy because when you think about fan reactions, right?
Hmm.
The tag team wrestling will always ebb and flow. We
Hmm.
always going to have conversation about the Hardys, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, right?
Yeah.
But then you go ahead this conversation that Christian had multiple tag team partners. Chris Jericho, um, Lance Storm, Edge had multiple Big Show. No, I'm sorry. Was it Big Show with him at
Yeah.
one point?
At one point.
Big Show, Hulk Hogan, Rey Mysterio, Crispin, you know who. You know, he had all these different partners. Like they kind of made the division. You could put that belt on him and it'd be a feel good moment, right?
Right.
But then when you get these good matches because of they were good wrestlers that's now been paired together, like a Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan was great with Chad Gable.
Oh
And then
my
we
God.
put him with Buddy
I
Matthews with Seth Rollins.
I
He was a
completely
good
forgot about that one. Jason
yeah.
Jordan. Oh my gosh.
It blew your mind, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about things, we had the New Day, an
Yeah.
established team, right? And the Revival, who was turning it up in NXT. They come to the main roster. It was like, we asked for this. This is what we want, right?
Hmm.
Clash of Champions 2019. Great match, start to finish. As much as the founder said that this was random, I will have to say RKO Bro versus the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy at WrestleMania 38 was
And
better than what I thought it would be.
wasn't it another team in there? The Lucha. What did they call them? The Lucha, not Lucha Bros.
Not
Is it
not
Lucha
Lucha
Bros?
House Party. This
Yeah.
was the one with just
The
them
one.
three.
Okay.
That was the
Okay.
one before.
Okay. Okay.
And then you think about Seth and Dean versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Right.
Who would think that four bona fide single stars would come together and have a great
And
tag
matched
team
that
match?
well. Right.
And like one of your favorite matches, I think, is the New Day versus the Usos Hell in a Cell 2017. If you haven't watched that match, go back and watch it. It
Please.
holds up to this day. You kind of get a feeling who Jimmy and JR are now that we can go back and look at them and knowing that they're different. You really can see they were trying to do something different, but they were the Usos, right?
Right. Right.
So out of any match for the Raw or the SmackDown tag belt, right? And I know I gave you a lot. which match for you gave you an unexpected reaction? Like you're like, oh, okay, yep, didn't know I needed that. Because it's always times, and it can be Raw or SmackDown, or it can be the. Let's go with the Copper too. And Founder and Justin, you're not off the hook. Which match for you gave you the most unexpected reaction? Let's see what the people have to say.
You know what? I went back and I watched SummerSlam 2017 between the Shield and the revitalized Shield, Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus the Bar. And honestly, like you said, there are four bona fide single superstars in there, champions, right? And they were able to go in there and put on a great display of wrestling. And I wasn't expecting that in a tag team match, but like I just said, we have to remember these are four bona fide single superstar professionals at the peak right there at that time, and they were able to go out there and just do what they have to do. They had the chemistry at one point. Um, Told a great story, definitely on the Shield side with Dean Ambrose and Seth not being able to trust each other and coexist the majority of the time, but they pulled it through. It was a great storytelling. So I wasn't really expecting that at the time. And honestly, I wasn't really for that whole Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins coming back together type spill at the time that it was happening. Because I was just kind of like, all right, I'm over it. I'm just done with it. Seth Rollins is that guy. Dean, I was just kind of like, okay. All right. Like
You was ready
at
to move
first,
on from D. You
yeah,
was
at
like,
first,
I'm
to be
okay.
honest, at first, when I first saw the Shield, the first person I looked at was Dean Ambrose. I was like, yeah, he's the leader. That's the way he was being portrayed. If you think about it, he had the singles title, the mid card title, and the other two was just, I don't want to say lackeys, but they were just there. They were the tag team champs, They were secondary in the group. And that's how I remembered it, because Dean he was always cutting the promos, and then they started switching the mic around. Roman wasn't saying too much. Seth, he didn't really come out and do his thing yet. He didn't show his character until later on, till the Plan B situation. But yeah, definitely it would have to be that match. I wanted to say the Usos in New Day Hell in a Cell, because that match was awesome. It was crazy for two tag teams to be in a Hell in a Cell like that, and they would go out there and just do what they do. And every single one of their matches, with those two teams in it, they hit, but they
And
hit
they all
differently.
felt different.
But they
All of
hit
them.
differently, right?
It was like you can watch them
So
each of them and be like, dang, that was a different match. Sometimes when you get certain tag teams, you're like, I know what I'm gonna get.
right,
And it's
right.
crazy because I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in it. One of the matches that made me say, oh, John Morrison versus Jimmy Uso versus Kofi at WrestleMania. Because remember, that's how they played off.
I remember
One
you
of them
said that.
was sick. Yeah, and I was like, that was so unique.
Yeah,
And it was like, it was great. And then they ran the opposite teams the following night. I was like, the opposite partner.
partner.
I was like, why was this? It was, even though it wasn't a tag match, it was for the tag belts. And it just felt like it was so different. It was unique. And it really,
Wasn't used to it.
like, and we were in the height of the pandemic, like, smack right in the kisser. This is the pandemic. And it was crazy to see that because it really made me pay attention that, oh, yeah, these are individual wrestlers that are on tag teams.
Right, right.
And I'm just, is Chad Gable the only guy to hold the red and blue strap with two different tag partners? The blue strap, he only held that. Chad Gable held it with Bobby Roode and his tag partner, Jason Jordan. And then on Raw, he held it with what's his name? What's his name? The Alpha Academy. And who else? I can't think of his other one for Raw. Who was
Gable.
burning? I thought they only held the SmackDown one. Or did they hold all three? They might have held all three.
I don't
Because
know. I'm
remember,
not
they
sure.
were NXT, SmackDown, or what you call it.
Let me look it up. Let me look it up.
Okay. The Hardys coming back at WrestleMania 33 is the greatest Raw Tag Team title moment to live. Live experience bias, but I don't care. That was legendary. The stadium was jumping. Well, the whole fact that the lead day was like, whoo, whoo, and I was like, it's going to be them. And then that music hit. That was crazy. Founder, we're not going to speak on this. We're going to leave that alone. We know that was just to give AJ Styles a Grand Slam accolade. We know that's what that was for.
That and to Mo Omos.
And what did they get him?
Hey, yeah, that's crazy.
This might be cheating, but besides the Hardys at WrestleMania 33, I gotta say with Sammy and KO and the Usos main event of WrestleMania 39, one of the greatest stories ever told, led to the tag titles at WrestleMania main event, which was great because, yet again, two bona fide superstars coming together in a tag team and knowing their history just worked. And that's where you gotta pay attention to, like, and then all feeds into the who wore it better, because you can't mention the tag belts slash the unified tag team championship without mentioning KO and Sammy. Even though it was only the Usos, KO and Sammy, Judgment Day, and what's his name, Cody Rhodes and
Yeah.
Jay.
Well, I found out the other guy was Otis for Raw. He teamed up with Bobby Roode and he had Otis on Raw.
Oh, so they had it on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot that he had it on Raw and SmackDown.
But yeah, you're right. You're right.
He held Raw with Otis. Okay. See,
I know Otis and Bobby Roode and Jason Jordan was on SmackDown.
Okay, because Bobby Roode had SmackDown. Because remember, they was wearing the matching vest and doing the glorious spinning around.
Yeah.
With the I was going to say the Ric Flair vest, but you might say Bobby Roode vest. People know what we're talking about.
Right. The Moose.
Oh,
my bad.
Oh,
my bad.
Well,
I'm sorry.
As we talk about not only the reigns, the brand influence, and the reaction for the crowd, there's only a few more things that we need to hit on to figure out and get to that point of who wore it better. And I think we hit on some good points. But let's hear from our sponsors, because we might need to remind people of a couple quick things. Ooh.
Might not. Maybe we should just keep going.
Oh, okay. Technical difficulties. See what happens when you're live? Nope. Okay. Well, we want to remind you of where to find us. That's the main thing. Because if you're enjoying the conversation, don't forget you can follow us on YouTube. You enjoying the show so far? Good. Go over to Instagram and follow us at championshipculture_. And don't forget, check out youtube.com/wrestling. Look for the playlist for Championship Culture. And remember, every belt has a story.
There it is.
So one of the major things when we talk about who wore it better, right? And I know this is a big part for you because we always talk about the legacy or the longevity of that team, right?
Right.
Legacy of a team. We know that the Dudley Boys are one of the greatest tag teams. We know Edge and Christian is one of the greatest tag teams. We know we can sit here and name countless teams that we know are in that conversation. WWE even did a whole special of, the 50 greatest tag teams, right?
Right.
We know FTR, all this type of things, right? But some teams held titles only one time. And that kind of affects their longevity, but it helps with their legacy. Because whenever we look at their blue SmackDown tag, we always going to remember, I got kids. We always going to remember that moment because that was his gimmick. That's what we were behind. And even when Rhino said it in the Hall of Fame speech over the weekend, he thanked Heath Slater. We didn't know Heath Slater had did all of that for him. But now we have another notch to say, look at the legacy that Heath Slater has held. Because, yes, he was the one-time tag. Right.
It set him up for a decent run in the Indies.
It definitely did.
Sure.
And it showed that he's not only a good human being, but his legacy is more than just that one title reign. But that one title reign may have been what sparked it. And then you move to people.
He had three with the pennies. Don't forget about that. I'm not
Who was with the pennies? Go ahead. Tell him about the pennies.
Was it Justin Gabriel? Justin Gabriel, and I feel like that was it. That was just 3 times with the pennies.
Because they were doing the Nexus and the core.
Yeah.
With the pennies. And
he had McGillicuddy and Otunga and all them good guys. John Cena and Otunga. Right.
It was a lot. You talking about Frankenstein tag teams.
Right.
And we're going to get to some of those because Seth holding the belt for just about everybody on Raw, it seems like.
Everybody.
Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. Who knew that we needed that? That's a part of the legacy because, yes, a different creative, we probably would have got a better version of Matt Hardy instead of this woken Matt Hardy. And, Bray Wyatt, what would they call them? The leaders of worlds. We probably could have got something better. Team Hell No.
Don't disrespect Team Hell No, bro.
AJ Styles and Omos. We know that was just to give AJ that legacy of being a Grand Slam champion. And then we had stuff like the Hurt Business, and what hurt the Hurt Business is the bloodline. You couldn't have two of the same stories going, so then guess what? The lesser of the two got taken down. But that's why people are still holding on to this Hurt legacy because it gave us an inch of it. It was something we was like, "Ooh, we want this," and now people keep holding on to, hoping that it's going to come back, right?
Right.
Um, and can't forget that WrestleMania, and he was like, "Hey kid, come here," and he brought him in. And he was like, the next day on Raw, yeah, he can't defend the titles because he got to go to school.
We gotta
I
do his
was like,
homework. Right.
yeah, I was like,
Like,
so poor
okay.
Nicholas. He should be about 18 by now, right? He need to come back and team with Braun again, just come on, Triple H, give us that continuity back. He's like, I never lost my belt,
There it
but that
is.
belt doesn't exist anymore. Um, and then also Dominic Mysterio, another father and son combo. Um, really didn't have one before that. We had a lot of brothers, but I think they were the first father and
They
son
were first father and
tag
son,
team.
yeah, to do it.
Yeah, to hold it, and that's what we mean by the legacy or the longevity, right? And he said, honestly, Don getting the tag just molded him for his world title run. Oh God,
There
go
it
ahead, baby,
is.
talk him.
Talk about it. Go ahead, sir. I know exactly who that is. How you doing, brother? Yes, yes, yes. Damian Priest took
Your
that
birthday
loss.
twin.
He
Your
took that
birthday
loss,
twin.
and I immediately text brother Hernandez and was like, "Look, you know what's next. Gold we will see on Dominic Mysterio. It's coming soon. That's all I
You
gotta
think
say.
this soon? You think
It's
this
coming
soon?
soon.
Okay,
No, honestly, no. But I'm with it if they pull the trigger.
if they do, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, uh huh. You see that? That's definitely
Absolutely,
your birthday twin.
absolutely,
So how
absolutely.
much? Well, we talk about all these legacy slash longevity because we can talk about the 483 run. We can talk about the 11 title reigns. We could talk about all of these things, right?
Yeah.
But how much did these legacy title wins, I'm gonna call them because it was just for that moment or just for the adding that notch in history, right? How much of that does that equate to a legacy for that wrestler or that legacy of that title? Did that help or hurt it? Because sometimes it led to hotshot booking. Like remember when we got Ric Flair and Roddy Piper, when we got DX to come back, when we as in Road Dogg and Jesse James as in DX came back. All of these legacy runs. Does that help or hurt the title?
I mean, at the time, I think it helps because who doesn't want to see those type of guys come back every once in a while and add a little extra seasoning to the pot, the tag team division. Because to me, honestly, the tag team division was kind of lackluster. Thus the reasoning for so many makeshift tag teams. But they're getting to the mode now where they're able to combine these individual superstars, put them together, and make things work, tell good stories, and also with the addition, well, at that time, you only had a couple of regular tag teams, but throughout that, through the evolution of it, you have your regular tag teams coming back into play. So they're starting to rebuild that actual division and actually make it a tag team division as opposed to just having the individual stars do it. So it makes sense now with the addition of your guys raising fists and whatnot to to have them on because, like you said, Triple H is out here signing all these good guys. But man, I can't wait to see what's going on next with these tag titles, these tag teams coming through. Can't wait to see Penta and yeah,
Ray Phoenix.
and
Yeah,
Ray
Ray
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
Because
I can't wait to
you
see
know
them
that's my
coming through.
guys. You
Boy,
know,
this tag team, this is about to look real juicy right now. It's about to get real juicy. The Usos are back. Maybe we can get a quick run with them again. I want to see New Day like reestablish themselves because they fell off drastically to me. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I don't think they're really doing too well right now.
yeah, the arguing on
But
TV is getting to me. I'm like, okay, is
yeah.
that their gimmick now? They just gonna keep arguing?
But I'm gonna keep telling you. I keep telling you. Everybody keeps saying that Xavier Woods is gonna turn. Nah, it's gonna be Kofi. If anybody turns, it's going to be Kofi. But I don't think New Day breaks up.
I don't think Kofi turns. I don't. Kofi
He's
is too valuable to the WWE to turn him heel. Xavier is too valuable to turn him heel because think about you gotta look at what he does outside of wrestling.
mm-hmm.
I think they're
That makes
just doing
sense.
that to try to make because think about that clip. Them arguing was just to show that Miz got kidnapped.
Right. I
Them
don't like
arguing in
to
the back.
see when I talk. I don't like to state the obvious, so that's why I go the other way. And I'm like, look, it kind of makes sense for Kofi to go ahead and turn heel because it's like, look, he gonna get tired of Xavier acting funny, right?
Because he said he get his own ride. He got his
Right.
own ride.
But to be honest, you're exactly right. Kofi is like 100% babyface. You can't turn that guy. To be honest, to be honest. But I'll still say Kofi is going to change. He's going to switch sides before Xavier, just because I'm being difficult. Y'all know how I do it.
Oh, what is it? What did I miss? He said, "Whoa, don't forget the flows did it first." What do we
Oh yeah,
miss?
the flows, father son tag team champs. Come on now,
Oh,
come on now.
never mind.
I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
that's
Yeah,
disrespectful.
I
I
definitely did.
apologize to the Zombie King and Big Papa Flow.
Yeah, because I don't. That's a strong man. I don't care if he's 5 foot. Yeah,
Hey, bro,
I was like,
I ain't.
nope. I didn't
I'm
want
not
to.
saying.
I didn't want
I'm
him
not
all.
saying anything. That's one cool brother. I love him. You know what I mean? Hey, I have
We
nothing bad.
didn't. I didn't want him to seem like that's the guys that beat us. I was like, no, it wasn't us. It was the other guys. It was the other dark skinned guy.
Boy, he's strong, boy.
That man had his neck was stronger than my arm, and we're gonna
Hey,
leave it at
bro.
that. But when we talk about who wore it better, right?
Right, right, right.
You had people who had like, let's talk about some of these tag teams, right? You had Cody Rhodes and Goldust, right? They dethroned the Shield. The Shield
Mm,
was in their beginning turn down stuff because they took down Team Hell No, right?
yeah,
And then they took down makeshift tag team of Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, right?
yeah.
But then when you fast forward, Cody and Goldust lost to the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and
Mm,
Road Dogg. Then they lost it to the Usos. They put the Usos over, right?
right.
This is when we had Goldust and Stardust. And then one of the greatest things they did was Damian Mizdow and The Miz. You talking about awesome TV? That to me, Damian Mizdow was probably so entertaining because he walked around with the two kitty titles while The Miz had both titles, and it was the funniest, most entertaining thing. And of course, the Usos, Cesaro, Tyson, the Kid, New Day. Then the primetime players even was in that mix for a little bit. That was kind of like a, I don't want to say a thank you title reign, but it was like, hey, let's give them something because it went right back to the New Day.
Yep.
Then we go to the bar, Dwayne's favorite tag team, the Good Brothers, then the Hardys, Cesaro and Sheamus again, Dean and Seth, Cesaro and Sheamus, Jason Jordan and Seth, Cesaro and Sheamus, Braun and Nicholas, then our favorite wrestler Vacant,
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt and Matt, the B team. I totally forgot that, he beat his brother. And I was
Right.
like, I forgot that happened.
Right.
And then we get to the Scottish Psychopath and the Show Off.
Yes, sir.
Lost it to Dean and Seth, AOP, Bobby Roode and Chad, The Revival, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, which was a feel good moment. The Revival again, Dwayne's favorite tag team, OC. I'm gonna get to the point. Braun and Seth, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, the Viking Raiders, Buddy Murphy and Seth, Street Profits, The New Day, The Hurt Business, The New Day, AJ Styles, Omos, RKO, Alpha Academy, RKO, the Usos, and then that's when they became unified, right?
Yep.
And all of that time, and the reason I said that, all of these legacy moments, because we can go back to any of those stories on Raw, right? And it kind of takes you back to what was happening. Primetime players trying to get over. The B team had the new gimmick and they had everybody cheering, B team, go, go, go. Everybody remember that whole thing when Bray Wyatt pointed, and I think, was that during the match with Matt or was that somebody else he did that with? No, that was Roman Spear, and he went like this and pointed,
Yeah.
and it was like perfect time. But you have all these stories, even though you had a Raw and a SmackDown belt, did it feel like that this Raw with the makeshift tag teams edged more in your memory than SmackDown?
That's a possibility because if you think about it, when you think about anything for the most part as a human being, you think of moments. You relate moments to whatever it is. And the moments they stand tall over just your regular reigns and numbers at certain points, especially in the wrestling world or in the sports and entertainment world in general. You can go any day. We can go and say, look, all right, Michael Jordan scored 63 points. or he can go out here and flu game and boom, boom, boom. That's a moment. You see what I'm saying? That's something that we're going to remember always because that was one of the pivotal moments in history. You think of moments before you think of rings 9 times out of 10. So I would
And
say,
that's what
yeah,
again,
Raw had the
Raw had
storylines.
legacies,
Raw
and
had the storylines.
SmackDown had the longevity because SmackDown had that core of those tag team wrestlers. And even though the belts looked the same, they felt like two different belts.
They did.
They
They
felt
did.
like two different divisions, even though the brand would flip and the Revival would go to one, Unforgettable would go to the other. It felt like two different sets of belts. But did one showcase better than the other? That's the real question. Because when we get to who wore it better, because we all know with the pennies, most people are going to say the New Day, right?
Yeah.
But they floated between both shows. But
Mm-hmm.
can we say that one show showcased that tag team division better than the other?
If you're talking about just the tag team division, I would say SmackDown because they actually had tag teams once again. But if you want to say, like we said before, moments and storyline purposes, in the spotlight, in the main event spotlight, I gotta say Raw. Your Universal Champion at one point in time had it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's in the spotlight. It gets more eyes. It gets more viewership. Prime time TV. So I would say Raw most definitely had more exposure in that aspect. But overall, I would say SmackDown. If you're just talking about straight up tag team wrestling, I gravitated more towards SmackDown because the work in the ring was impeccable at that time. To be honest, with those tag teams that they had over there, it was impeccable.
Now, was it impeccable because of the established teams that we knew, or was it impeccable because it was more entertaining?
Both.
Okay.
We had those teams that we knew, but we also had those dream matches too. You see what I'm saying? So, like for instance, we saw New Day rise, and you saw Usos rise. So look, all right, we can't wait to see those two clash because they're both in their peak right now. New Day was bigger and better than ever. They had the what was it, the bootios, they had all that stuff, the pancakes,
The
all that stuff out,
trombone,
all that stuff going
the
going crazy,
cereal,
right?
the
Uso
unicorn throwing the headbands out at you.
absolutely. The Usos just started to find their way because they just switched over to their heel gimmick with the bunny ears, the heel gimmick, a little bit more grittier, and they were getting some exposure. So it was like they were up on the rise, and we already knew about them from way back when they had the face paint. To be honest, I still love them. That was kind of corny after a while, and I'm glad they made that change because it was definitely for the better. Of course it led to them being individual stars down the line, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
always great. But definitely, definitely, bro. Like, hey man, that time was great. I just keep going back to the Usos and New Day. That was it. That was it. That was it for me.
But how about who should have been tag champs in this era of the tag titles? I'm a big fan of the
Mm.
Ascension and still heated. They never got a real chance to shine because they were awesome. How about the Von Villains? Remember that? But the one guy got in some trouble. But NXT had so many good tag teams that it was like, as soon as they caught momentum, no, bring them to the main roster.
You
No,
think
yank
that?
them.
Did you think that gimmick would work on the main roster though?
Because it was different.
Okay.
That's the only reason. Because like the Ascension worked, the Viking Raiders worked. Because remember, us as fans, we need something different. Just because I don't like think about it, FTR gimmick shouldn't work in this style because they look like NWA wrestlers, but they
Mm-hmm.
got it over. You know what I mean? Like the Alpha Academy looked like the world's greatest tag team, just repackaged.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I feel like because it was something unique. Like for instance, remember the first time we saw Karrion Cross entrance in that black and white, we was like, well, that's different.
That's
It made
cool.
us
Yeah.
feel something different. That Von Villain, like the reason Lacey Evans didn't work, they didn't let her stick to that gimmick. And that gimmick was kind of pushing the boundaries of do we need to cancel her or do we need to showcase her? But the Von Villains were something unique and different. Styles totally different. Everything about it was, oh, this is okay.
I wasn't really a fan of them, but I mean,
Okay.
like in the ring, they were good.
Mhm.
But that whole
But
gimmick,
that gimmick,
I couldn't get with it. Like I understood it, but I couldn't get with it, and I just didn't think that it would last that long on the main roster once they made that move. Like it was okay in NXT, because, like you said, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those type of fans, I feel like at that time they would be more acceptable to that type of gimmick, being that it was kind of like the indie times, somewhat
Got you.
development indie
It was
times.
something different. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's see if it
it's something
works.
different, right? But on the main roster in front of the TV screen, I didn't see that lasting too long at all.
It might not have translated because, like,
Right,
the Bludgeon Brothers only worked because they were big, scary dudes.
and it's been
You
done
know,
before. To be
and it
honest,
was, yeah, it was big, scary dudes with some masks and some weapons that could go out there and actually wrestle. They knew how to wrestle as big guys, and the New Day losing to them, they getting it back. It didn't lose any credibility. And then you had the Bar, Miz, and oh gosh, Shane McMahon, which was a waste of time, but we
oh
get
my
why they
gosh,
try.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, the
It's certain
Usos,
it's certain teams that I just erased from my memory. That's
like,
going on.
and I know you probably erased this one. Daniel Bryan and Rowan. Remember they had the blue titles.
Oh yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, and then the New Day got it back. The Revival, well, FTR, the New Day, Miz and John Morrison, the New Day. Here's one that's really probably going edge deep in your mind that you probably forgot.
What's up?
Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay.
That's
Then
crazy. I remember Shinsuke and Rick Boogs before them, but I know they didn't win.
wow.
They didn't win the titles, but you know what I'm saying. I
Right.
remember them
It's,
before that too. But
then you had the Street Profits that came up. Then Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode, Rey Mysterio, and Dominic,
yeah,
and then the Usos, right?
yeah,
So it felt like, yes, SmackDown had the more established teams. Raw had the more established stories, right? And even with the founder saying, to be honest, putting the tag team gold on Enzo and Cass was a letdown, and you can't teach that.
that's
Like
crazy.
the Lucha Brothers, I mean, well, um, Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik, not putting the tags on them was kind of like two of the best luchas in the world, and you didn't do anything with them.
Right, right.
The Hype Bros, they were cool in NXT, but then when they got on the roster, we were like, why are we saying this? I'm okay. It was too much in your face. But there was other things that because it worked as a single star, one of them did, not the other. But all of that to say,
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, we're gonna get to who wore it better. But
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you, brother.
What's that?
When you think of this time of the tag teams, right? If the belt wasn't designed the way it was, would you be thinking different about these tag teams?
At that point in time, no, because like I said, I wasn't a belt guy. I didn't really pay attention to it. Anyway, I just knew that's what you were fighting for. That was, you know what I mean? That's the trophy. That's it. That's all I knew. But to me, the actual belt design, it wouldn't even have mattered at that point in time when I was watching it. So no, not at all. Not at
So
all.
here's the moment of truth. I'm gonna ask you this question. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
let me grab the first one. All right, because we talked about the defining moments, the legacy versus longevity. I think we agreed the legacy was on Raw, the longevity
Mm-hmm.
was on SmackDown. The
Right.
reactions that made you say good, bad, or indifferent. How the brand influenced this tag team division.
Right.
How the reigns kind of mattered, and break down how basic the belt looked. It didn't feel like a tag team belt. So, brother, here
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to this penny tag, I can't Stephanie Hardy does. I'm sick of holding belts for once.
I get it.
When it comes to this penny tag, and for those in the comments, I want to hear who wore this better.
The obvious answer is New Day, of course,
Okay, why is that?
but because of the title reign,
Okay,
480, 483. That's it. That solidifies it right there. Who's
the
on top of
reign,
that? Who's
the
on top of that?
longevity.
Right.
Okay,
Two. You know what I mean?
the
That's it.
defining moments.
That's it. That's literally it. But I'm gonna go with for character work and character evolution. I would say I would go with Kane and Daniel Bryan because they made something out of nothing. To be honest,
So you're
that
saying Kane and Daniel Bryan wore this strap better?
I'm gonna say just like I said because the obvious answer is the New Day. I'm going
Okay,
Kane and Daniel Bryan because they elevated that title. They put it in places where it had no choice. People had no choice but to pay attention to it. They're two main event superstars elevating that character. Like at that point in time, they were just thrown together, but they made a whole storyline out of their interactions with each other, and it dragged on forever with therapy, all types of stuff. Yo,
He said it
we
dragged on something.
these fans were cheering because two men hugged in the ring. You see what I'm saying? Two guys that did not like each other. They cheered for them to hug it out in the ring, and you heard the pop when it finally happened. They sold T-shirts off of it. Like, come on now. It has to be Team Hell No. I'm just being real. Because the Usos weren't really established yet. Well, they were established, but they weren't the Usos we know of now. They were still colored face painted, you know what I mean, coming out, boom, doing the tribal dance and whatnot. Not Usos.
And
So
the prototype says, pity her, can't argue the New Day. Well, I'm arguing with you, Justin. I'm going to argue.
Oh, here you go.
I don't think one tag team wore better. I think one person wore this the best. And I'm going to tell you, who wore this the best was Kofi Kingston.
Kofi.
And I'm going to cheat and tell you why. 483 days, yes. But before he got to that, we saw him with Air Boom, and we saw him with him and R-Truth. Kofi was such a staple in this tag team division, and a lot of people forget. He had other tag team partners before he got there, but he's the one. And as much as I want to say the New Day, I'm going to just go with just Kofi Kingston on that alone. Kofi wore this better. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me. Kofi Kingston wore a tag team title the best. All right. So in the history of things, that was there, and then the SmackDown title was debuted, and then they turned the titles red, right? When it comes to
actually, I mean, Team Hell No, both of them at one point had both titles, like one person individually. They had both titles and was like, look, I'm the tag team champions. So either one of them could actually wore it better than the
other.
I digress. That's cool. I'm just saying that's another, you know what I mean? They took it to another level. I'm just saying. Come on now. Does it get goofy wrestling sells, bro?
It does. Ain't that what Simon Miller says?
Yes. Goofy wrestling all day.
Speaking of which, have you seen anything from him on YouTube?
Who?
Did What Culture disappear?
No. Simon just won a title. I can't remember where though.
Okay.
He just won a title.
showing up on my algorithm.
You must have been looking at belt porn or something.
Oh, I was looking at just a tip. Gotta agree with Has. Team Hell No. So you got one person on your side, your birthday twin.
That's right.
You know what? There's a lot of cheating going on. So I'm gonna say this as the third. When it comes to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the one on the blue brand, the one on the blue strap, the one that debuted because they needed a set of tag team belts. Depending upon the longevity, the reactions, the brand influence, the reigns, overall, who wore it better? The blue one.
All right, so while answering this question, I'm thinking about everything, like you said, the marketability, promotions, cross appeal, all that stuff. And of course, you can't forget about the stats. Who had it the most? New Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 7 times?
Yep.
Am I wrong? Seven times? Yep. Usos only had it, 5?
And let's just say this. If you take the bloodline story out, you get what I'm saying? Like, people argue and be like, but let's be controversial. Take the bloodline out, right? The New Day did all that without a major storyline that was carrying the show. The New Day did all of that before it got to this. And even when the bloodline had it, they were still integral in that part.
The New Day wasn't even supposed to be a thing, remember? They was about to get canned.
Mm-hmm. And Xavier was like, we can get over in 3 weeks, watch.
Right.
And they believed.
They made
but
it
let's call it what it is. Let's take the bloodline out of the situation. Is it the Usos or the New Day? But people argue because of the bloodline, that's what makes them better. That's why I believe, yes, they passed the New Day, but then that's why the New Day went down to NXT to give them one more accolade than the Usos.
Are you talking the bloodline storyline, or are you talking about their actual bloodline, like them being a part of the bloodline? Like you
The
see what I'm saying?
Well, think about this. They weren't tag team champions when the Bloodline story started.
Mm-hmm.
When Roman was reigning as the Universal Champion, he told them go get those belts, right?
Yeah,
And then Roman became, WWE Universal Champion. He
yeah.
said go unify the tag belts.
Mm-hmm.
So without that story, do we see another Uso reign as soon as we did, or would something different happen when we got the split of the Usos? We don't know, but
We
some
don't
can
know, but
argue,
I think you possibly would have got another reign out of him. Because I
yeah,
mean, them and New Day going back and forth, and like I said at that time, you ain't had too many established tag teams, and the Usos were over. So you might would have got a couple out of them, but they definitely wouldn't have been, you know, at the status that they are now if it wasn't for the Bloodline storyline, for sure.
and checking out. Dom held the blue best hands down.
Hey, hey,
Oh,
I'm with
so
it.
who
Yes.
wore who wore the blue strap better? You're not dodging this answer.
Oh, I told you. I said New Day.
Okay, you with the New Day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna actually have to disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say the Usos because the New Day was established on Raw, and the Usos showed they could hang with them even before the Bloodline.
Okay. Makes
I
sense.
feel like this is the Usos belt. The New Day belt was the Petty and the Red one. I feel like that's because they were good dance partners, and that's the only reason. With or without the bloodline, I believe that this is the Usos belt. I feel like how we always talk about certain people fit better on Raw and SmackDown. The
Yeah.
Usos fit better on SmackDown because this is their belt.
You know what's crazy? When I first I was looking at the rundown, of course, I saw this question. I was like, I'm going with the New Day because just the stats.
Hmm.
7-5. Stats matter in sports and entertainment, right?
Okay,
But what you got to remember is that in order for them to get that 7, they had to lose, right?
I'm so
And,
glad you said that because Ric Flair's how many time world
hey,
champion,
right, right,
and he's a 17-time world champion, right?
right. And then you turn
That
and look
means
at
he's
that.
an 18-time loser.
Hey, you turn and look at that reign that the Usos had with the SmackDown title, then unifying them. Come on, man. It's like 1A and 1B. But I decided to go with the New Day just because I felt like he was going to be difficult and go the other way. So I'm glad it worked out that way.
All right. Well, the last one, I feel like Maury, in the case of the the Raw Tag Team Championship, Brother Hugh,
I don't
it
know,
is your
bro.
turn to say who wore it better.
I feel
Dun,
like I
dun,
know.
dun.
I feel like I know your answer, so I'm not gonna. I'm
What's
not
my
gonna.
answer? Let me see if you got my answer.
Seth freaking Rollins. But I don't know who had it on Raw
Wait a minute, but why do you think my answer would be Seth Rollins?
because he tagged with everybody. He was champion with everybody. Like, come on now, on Raw. Rollins is Raw. Like, it just makes sense. And honestly, I can't remember really any other Raw tag teams. Like besides the Bar went over there a couple like one time. Of course, Dolph and the Dirty Dogs was over there for one time. I can't
The
really think
Street
of anybody
Profits, the
else.
Revival. Um, yeah, the Street Profits, the Revival, Alpha Academy.
See, I don't remember their reigns though. Nothing pops
Yeah, because
out to me.
they
You
were
see what I'm saying?
breaks. Like
That's
you
what I'm
missed
saying.
them.
Once again, what we said earlier. None of that stuff matters to me on the Raw side because I don't remember any of that. Like it was no moments attached to it. The moments are there with Seth Rollins. Like literally. I'm just being real. Like I can't remember anything else from a Raw tag team.
So, in the case of who wore it better, is it safe to? I mean, is it safe to say? I was reading the comment. Is it
Yep.
safe to say Seth Rollins wore it best?
Seth Rollins
This
wore
is
best.
insane. I said Kofi, the Usos, and Seth, and you said Team Hell No, the New Day, and Seth. Who would have thought we would have picked singles wrestlers to say they wore the tag team titles the best? Man, oh man, I think we did it. But he said Ziggler and Bobby wore the Raw tag team's best.
That's right. Classic champions.
Raw, stop
2019.
violence since we picking individual teams. Oh, so he said the Hardy Boys in the bar. So Justin says the Hardy Boys in the bar. But I don't think the Hardys had a chance really to do much with
Nah,
it.
I see. I would have went with the Hardys, but it's like I said, their moment was great. Great, they won the title. Okay, cool. But what did they do afterwards? How long they had it? I don't remember. I don't.
See, that's the part about longevity versus legacy. It was a legacy title run for them. So objectively, the Usos, but who looked the best with them? It's a toss between American Alpha and the Dirty Dogs. So American Alpha just came out the gate swinging. And remember that on SmackDown, the
Yeah, they
Usos debuted their new gimmick against them, and it was something different. It was unique. But remember, they was always the underdog, and this is Chad Gable with long hair, and they just kept on winning and winning and winning and winning. It was like, oh yeah, you have to give them the belts because we wanted them. The Dirty Dogs were just there to wrestle. Let's call it what they were just good wrestlers. Like you have Bobby Roode and Ziggler, you know you was gonna get a good match, and if you need a heel to go over, there you go.
My fault. Jordan Grace just popped up on NXT again.
Without the belt,
I'm trying to see. Yeah, without the belt.
of course, because she lost. And it's not pre-taped; it's actually live. I'm
Okay. I
okay.
didn't
Yep.
see. I didn't know that, but okay. All right.
Oh, you didn't see that Marsha Slamovich is a new
Oh, I did see that on
TNA
Instagram.
knockout champion.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did see that. I did see that. So online. Okay.
Yep.
I only
So
cared about one thing, so you already know what that is. But
it's Ziggler.
mhm.
Okay. All right, Sam. We know you was at like 27 WrestleManias. He said, I don't care that the Hardys had a promo rate. I just got to see a childhood moment live, so I'm sticking with it. Yes, we know. We know
27.
you were there.
27 minus one.
Yeah, -1. And impossible. And impossible.
Right.
He said Cena and Otunga held the pennies better.
Hey,
God, that's
have
a
fun.
horrible ring.
Hey, do it, bro.
Remember when he cut that promo on Otunga? He was like, every time I Google you, it just comes up some woman named Jennifer Hudson.
Oh my
That
God.
was, and he said,
Right.
every time I Google you, I get the Wendy's girl talking to Heath Slater. I was like, John Cena was a menace back
Yeah,
then.
he was. He was. He was. He was.
Oh man, but I think we answered that. I think we actually satisfied the who were better when it comes to the WWE Tag Team, well, Unified Tag Team Champions. Let me make sure I say this right. Which became the WWE Champion Tag Team Champions, which became the Raw and the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, which are now known as the World Tag Team Championships and the WWE Tag Team Championships. Now, that legacy of the current WWE and World Tag Team titles are just being built.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with that. In a short time, we've had 2 champions on Raw, right?
Yeah.
We had the Judgment Day holding now, but before that it was
Truth
what's the
and
name
the
of it?
awesome truth.
Yeah, Awesome Truth, right? But then on SmackDown we went from A Town Down Under to
Yeah.
DIY to the Bloodline now to the Motor City Machine Guns in a short amount of time. We might have to go back and see who wore better when it came to the original versions of the WWE tag belts and the world titles. I know Dwayne hates those 2 belts, but that might be a who wore better and see if Kofi Kingston makes that list too. But brother here,
Yes, sir.
tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me in St. Louis rolling on dub. Oh, my bad. Well, no, y'all can find me on all social media platforms at HASTHE 3RD. I'm everywhere. I'm back out here on the scene trying to do my photography stuff. Hoping I can do more wrestling. That's coming up, but still got the women's football that's going down on the off season, so I got some work there. But yeah, make sure y'all follow, look me up. Has a third HASTHE to the 3RD. Thank you. I appreciate
And you know, I'm custom guy 913 on Instagram, TikTok, and
everything.
it's just my name, X, and then just my name on Facebook. If you can find, it's like 746 Brandon guys, but just hey, You'll find me. I'm the dark skinned bald head guy.
You know,
You'll find me.
daggone well, all of your handles are the same now because I made you change them.
Not my Facebook.
Well, I can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, I gotta leave that alone because I can't
Right.
figure out how to change that.
Right.
Everything is
Right.
custom guy 913.
Absolutely.
And why did you make me tell the people why you made me change them?
Because it's nice and easy for everybody to find you. You know what I mean? That's one thing I hate. Just make it nice and easy for everybody. Be nice and organized. It's easier for yourself too when you go and making posts and you're sharing stuff and this and that, whatever. Just keep it nice and simple for everybody. I'm the same on every platform. Boom.
Every single
Throw it in your face right there.
I'm so happy that we was able to have this discussion and talk about who wore better. This is one of my favorite topics, except for well, I do like who wore better, especially because we get to pick a belt. And I wonder what we're gonna talk about next. Who wore better?
I don't know.
I don't know. Ooh, it might be something in the background that we see, because we already did a white strap, didn't we?
Ooh.
It might be some America. Who knows? It might be some. Oh, wait a minute, what's up there? Oh, what's up there? Oh, what's in that quarter?
I don't know. What's in that corner?
You see that quarter over there?
It's bright. It's bright up there. Yeah.
Above that new version of the belt.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. We might have to explore some things.
Right. Underrated? Ooh, part
that's,
2?
That's another thing. Because the underrated belt. Or the other belt. Oh, I see it.
Well, if y'all have any ideas on topics or anything that you want to talk about, feel free to shoot us a DM, PM, whatever the heck they call it nowadays.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe while you're there. Send me a text message if you got my number. Hey, I'll look into it. I'll answer you back.
He's gonna tell you to come on the show.
Absolutely.
But make sure you comment your thoughts and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a chance when we go live and you never miss an update that we do. And don't forget to turn on all your notifications.
All of
because you never know when you're going to see a new episode, a new short, or just some new information coming through from the guys at Championship Culture. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms and tune in every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the next episode of Championship Culture. And guess what? We want to thank you for watching. And remember, what do they need to remember here?
Every belt has a story.
And can't wait to hear yours. We're out.
Peace.
You can watch all of our Wrestling Realm content anytime on youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm.